All right.
Jackie's on.
Good to go.
Good to go. All right. We are going to call to order City Council regular business meeting for Thursday, October 17th, 2024. It is 6:01 PM. Lindsay, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Baker,
Here.
Brown,
Here.
Cool,
Here.
Livingston,
Here.
Meineke,
Here.
Mayor Phillips.
I am here as well. I love it when everybody's here. So we will move on. Item number 2 is Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, item number 3 is approval of the agenda. Would anybody like to move any of the consent agenda items to the regular agenda?
Motion. Second.
Motion to approve the agenda by Cool, seconded by Baker. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, same. Motion carries. Item number 4 is a dedicated work session. So this dedicated work session is for mayor and council. Regular council meeting will begin immediately following the work session. So over the past several years, Norwalk has worked with the national company to conduct citizen surveys. We conduct these surveys every 2 to 3 years. We just completed our most recent survey. The results were going to be crucial for our upcoming goal setting and strategic planning sessions. Ty, thank you for managing the citizen survey process. I understand you have some results to share with us this evening.
Yes, and is Jason on Zoom? There should be gentlemen, Jason
Oh,
on Zoom.
I am, yeah.
Okay, awesome. You guys speak for the service?
Let's see.
No, there should be another Jason on Zoom. I was gonna say our gentleman was
Not yet.
supposed to Zoom in, but if not.
I think Zoom only allows one Jason at a time. It's kind of in there. Oh.
Well, you are a handful. I know. As far as adjacent goes, so.
Okay. Anyway, so I put together a packet. Everyone should already have the full citizen survey, that was emailed out to them. If you didn't receive it, please reach out to me and I'm happy to send you another copy of it. This will also be uploaded to our city website, so citizens can see the final results to this as well. But I wanted to get it in front of council first. So in your packet, I put together an overview, that was actually done by the, ETC Institute. So it talks about, you know, the perceptions of the city, our public safety services, maintenance, parks and rec, library, so on and so forth. And I'm happy to go through the whole presentation, or we can just go through part of it. It's up to you. But I wanted to start out with, this slide here shows satisfaction with our city services. So that in the dark blue is, the citizens that were very satisfied with all of our city services that you can see listed there. Light blue would be satisfied, neutral, and then dissatisfied. So, you know, we do very high with our very satisfied and are satisfied with our city services. So again, here, so on slide 2, we have our city services here. So you can see the green is from the 2024 survey. Light blue is from our 2021, and then the gray is from our 2018 survey. So you can see that we've had quite a bit of improvement over the last couple of years from 2018 to now. So really great results there. Satisfaction with our public safety services. Again, I went with our satisfied, so you can see here how satisfied the citizens are with public safety. And then how they skew year over year.
That was one thing I noticed was interesting, that in the middle year, it looked like consistently across the board in some of these, they were higher and then it came back down lower for the 2024.
And something that was actually brought to my attention too, if you look at 2021, you know, that's coming off of, you know, our 2020 COVID year, getting back into, you know, going from COVID lockdown into 2020, people looking at what our services were going into 2021. The other thing to note too, with our 2024 survey, and that's why I was also hoping that, our ETC Institute gentleman was here, but, if not, we can also defer questions. Our survey here was also done right in the middle of, our special census survey. So we did have quite a few citizens that were reaching out saying, hey, I just had somebody come talk to me about, is this the same thing as a census? So I'm very pleased that, so many citizens did take part in this survey. I do believe they said we had over 300 that took part in this survey. And it was very lengthy, so very pleased with that. Going here to talk about our satisfaction with our maintenance. And then year over year. Satisfaction with our code enforcement. It is really interesting to see just kind of, how people, prioritize, like our public safety to our city, to our, streets. And so you'll just kind of see interesting trends here as we go through this. And then year over year. Satisfaction with our communication, and, whether or not, and this is also something just kind of a talking point from my side, when we look at, whether people prefer to get our communication from Facebook, social, on social media versus our city's website versus like the Norwalk Living magazine and things like that. So this is really good data for us on how we are going to continue to communicate with our citizens on here.
Were there, within the survey, because I have not had a chance to go through it in detail. It's my understanding that there were actually some comments or a place where people could submit comments.
Yes.
Did we have anything on the communication where people might prefer? Did they say, hey, if I'm not as happy with communication, how do they prefer? Did we get anything like that?
There wasn't anything real definitive that said like, that people would prefer, to get like a mailer or something like that. It was just more like, how do you hear about, how do you get your news? And people would say, Facebook or Norwalk Living, word of mouth. A couple of things that came up were the community Facebook page that's run by community members. So that was very interesting to see that one too. But social media and Norwalk Living tend to be at the very top of that. So even though we put things out on our website, it seems like, people are getting it from social media, from Norwalk Living, and then they're bouncing over to our website. And then our text alerts too that go out is also a popular one. People like receiving those emergency alerts and our text alerts for road closures and things like that. And then year over year.
So
Go ahead.
just go back to, for example, if this says on their communication at the top, 57%. Does that mean that the inverse of that was not satisfied? So in that case, it was 43%?
It's neutral,
Unsatisfied?
it's neutral and
Neutral and unsatisfied. Okay, all right. I just wanted to make, I was assuming that, but I didn't want to make a jump without asking.
Yep.
Thanks.
Perfect. So, and then which two of the following benefits of economic development are most important to our citizens? So first choice, second choice. I thought that this was a really good one. Seems like our citizens are very satisfied with our government employees. It's really good to see. Satisfaction with our city growth. And again, when you look at the entire report that was sent over to you, you can see where there's actually a breakdown towards the very end of it where we can see comments. And then if you want me to pull individual comments too, I do have a separate spreadsheet that they sent me along with the report. So we can see like, what is it that, residents are actually saying, if they try to write in a comment. satisfaction with our library, so we're really happy with that. And the great thing about this too, is, you know, when you look at like our library programs, you'll see our Parks and Recreation on there. There's, you know, it'll give our department heads and, you know, their staff a really good idea of, you know, what programs do people really enjoy, what we can do more of, you know. We want to talk about, but if we have to look at cutting something, you know, where could we cut and then what could we increase? And then year over year. Satisfaction with our Parks and Recreation Department. We're really happy here. And again, for our department heads, you know, if you take a look at that back end of the report, you know, you can see what the comments were, but if you need me to pull something, I'm more than happy to send that over to you individually as well. It is a very lengthy report.
It's interesting on this one here, I see the recreation programs for seniors. And I hear about that every once in a while when I'm out and about. That they'd like to see more senior programming out of Park and Rec in the future. So it's kind of appears to be reflected in the survey here.
And I know our Parks and Recreation Department, they've done a really good job on social media. But I'm definitely happy to work with Robin and her staff on finding other ways to push those programs out, because I do see that there are a lot of senior programs, you know, you can come and walk out at the new field house and things like that. So, like I said, they've done a really great job on staying on top of it on social, but you know, again, Robin definitely. And I know Sarah has submitted things over to us too for Norwalk Living, but other ways that you can reach out, definitely. Well, guys on that too.
Thank you.
Here, I may have deactivated that. See if
Okay, year over year. I'm really good at pushing buttons, but. Sometimes it doesn't work.
We don't have the year over year for the.
I'm gonna have to ask them about that one. I don't know why the year over year. Up on this one.
Cause it was interesting, cause the dissatisfaction number was very high on that one. So,
Do we know, was that not asked in previous surveys?
I would have to go back and pull those surveys to see
I
if
would
it
have
was
to,
asked.
I'm
I
not sure.
believe that was something that was asked to be, this year. I know that when I sent it out to department heads and said, what would you like to see? I think that might have been something that we added, but I can pull the old surveys and take a look, and I'm happy to send that out to council and department heads as well and say, this is what we saw. And honestly, from what I remember about reading about the comments on the dissatisfaction, what it came down to was like anemones out of the city pool, and what people were trying to compare us to is like, when you look at like city of West Des Moines, when they have, you know, like 5 water slide, like they're wanting the big aquatic center, things like that, where, you know, so that's what people are comparing us to is, you know, the big cities on that one. It's like, yeah,
It
we
would
have a
be-
great water slide. We have a great diving
It
place.
would be way too long of a survey, but wouldn't it be great on each question about those kind of amenities? If you could say, you know, are satisfied or not with this particular item, and then next to it, say, are you willing to expend additional tax dollars to receive those amenities? To see if there was a connection.
How much? That's always the third question.
no, I mean, that is actually, it's not a bad idea.
I mean, I assume most people understand when they want those things that there's then a tax.
You kind of do have to pay for them. Yeah,
If there'd be a way to
Actually,
illustrate that, that'd be
there
interesting.
doesn't seem to be a good understanding of that in general in our country, that like taxes aren't inherently evil.
Not gonna
These
disagree.
guys are not inherently evil.
Sorry, Ty.
No,
derailed
you're
you.
fine, you're fine. And honestly, that is something outside of the citizen survey, that if that's something that we want to put together, you know, from a city standpoint, and just do like at a local level community survey and break things down like that and put it out there, you know, that is something that I can do with our departments for, you know, their programs and things like that, so.
Might be neat to at least think through that or talk through what that might look like.
Yeah.
They say, we're gonna go down the rabbit hole, and then I'm gonna hand it
I
off to
know.
Brian Baker to answer the question at the end of it, 'cause I've heard that presentation, so do it that way. So, reasons to live in Norwalk, I thought that this was a really good one. You know, what people are really happy with, why they like living here, it really speaks to our community.
I'm kind of surprised affordability of housing
Mhm.
made it that high on the list, given the, the low marks in the
The
previous
other
one.
thing.
Yeah,
I think when you look at the other suburbs, Urbandale, West Des Moines, I think it's probably
he's
accurate.
competitive.
Yes. Great.
Yeah, that availability of transportation options, that's been a tough nut to crack down here.
Jackie, number 5 on that list is small town feel,
Yep.
still in the top 10.
Yep, I see that.
Well, yeah, there was, I mean, it was that interesting stuff on city growth. First part.
And I will say that that was one of the top comments that came in, when we did ask for comments is, you know, what do people like, where they were able to write it in, and they did say small town feel was at the top of that, so.
Yet proximity to large cities, very close.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Amenities of a large city.
And I'll echo Luke Nelson and say, you know, 10 minutes from the airport when all your friends want to park in your driveway.
They would rather you than Uber.
So then back here to our city services.
So this is comparing us more across the plain than
Yes.
the national average.
Yes, and I actually, so I didn't put it in here, or it would make the presentation way too long, but I did include a separate packet for you off to the side. And I did, for each one, public safety, city services and everything, gave you this exact diagram here. So Norwalk compared to the Plains average, compared to the national average. And I will send this out to the department heads as well. This was something I put together. at the
Yeah, my
last minute
basic
just to
comment
give it.
on all those ties, I was asking myself, well, how do we compare? Because sometimes this data is like, I don't know how to read it unless there's a comparison. And just to know that basically we're higher than everyone. Or sorry, we're higher than these two
The average.
benchmarks in almost every area, I think.
Yes.
Like that was meaningful.
Yes, and actually, I mean, like I said, and if you look at the other packet, and like I said, I'll email it out to the department heads. Like I said, I threw it together at the last minute after I did this slide. But you'll see that, you know, like I just flipped to public safety. I mean, we skew, you know, 93%, how quickly our firefighters respond to emergencies at 93% compared to the Plains average at 67, to the national average at 72. So things like that, you know, really stood out to me, you know, us compared to a region compared to the nation. So.
Well, it's nice to see that the condition of city streets and the condition of city sidewalks actually rates higher than the national average.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of surprising. Because earlier in the survey, the popularity of those conditions was dropping down over time.
And that is a really good observation, and that was something that I did find really fascinating too, is like, you know, when you look at the way our citizens look at things, but then when you look at, again, the region compared to the national average, I mean, we're doing very, very well. And so, and actually, when I post this survey, I think I'm gonna go ahead and take this too and post it separately so that our citizens can see, without having to read through 143 pages.
Yeah.
You know, how we compare with each of these services.
These might be interesting just periodically to pull one out on a weekly basis or something, even throw it out on social media.
I can definitely do that.
Luke, Robin just looked it up and that aquatics question was not asked on the last survey.
Okay.
Okay.
Why did we put that on? Oh,
And
neither
that,
was
like I said,
seniors.
that might have been something that Robin caught for this one, because when we did it, I did send it out to all the department heads with the last survey and said, you know, is there anything that you'd like us to alter, or anything you'd like us to add? And so, if you do, when you're going through this to everyone, see something on there that looks a little off from, you know, the last survey to 2018, please let me know and I'm happy to pull those because it could have been something that we added to it. Also, I think Luke Harris is the only one that said leave everything as is. I think he was the only one I didn't have to alter.
He's very tired that day.
So, but if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to connect you with our people at the Institute as well as, get you individual results. Like I said, it's a very lengthy report. So if there is something you'd like pulled, or the comments or things like that, just let me know. I'm happy to put that up.
Do you know if they do any other surveys for metro communities?
I'm not 100% sure if they do it for our other metro ones. I know that Waukee is getting ready to do one, and I think Altoona is getting ready to do one from my last communications meeting, because they'd asked me who we used and wanted to see what our results were as they're getting ready to do theirs. And so one thing I did bring up is, when you launch yours, please let me know, because I'd be interested to compare our data to yours. And I think that that's something that we did collaborate with on those who are going to do them, that we'll look at doing kind of like a metro wide, kind of like this national comparison to where do we compare to like our other cities.
I do know back in, was it 2018, I believe was the first one. Part of the reason that we initially chose this particular company is because of how many other communities they do these surveys with. So a larger pool of comparison. I don't know which ones, but I recall there were several other metro communities. Johnston is the only one I know by name that they use the same company.
They're all going through the same census. Altoona is just starting theirs. They probably should be counseled not to do the survey during.
Bring that,
Seriously.
I did bring that up during our last communications meeting in August and did say, we're doing our special census. We just launched this. I would not recommend doing it at the same time. So, I mean, and that could be why some of them are looking at, doing it outside their special census.
As we probably use this to do the planning in November, I think it's also important to let people know, like, hey, we actually did something with this information.
Yeah.
So here's how we used it. Because obviously, if you're gonna take the time to do this, all of us feel this way. We've done it with businesses and you're kind of like, okay, did it matter? If you don't hear anything, it's like, okay. So I think being able to communicate back, like, thank you for doing this.
Here's what we're doing.
Yeah, here's the stuff we're doing as a result.
I agree.
And this was sent off so that the individual that is coming here to work with all of you to put together some of that goal setting, strategic planning, he has access to the survey, and that'll be part of his review to help guide some of those discussions.
So, and we used the 2018 survey to feed into our strategic plan that we did in 2018.
Right.
That we're going to be updated.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
It's good a time to go.
Yeah,
All right.
thank you.
Well, thanks for all the work you did. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks for the presentation. After we get a chance to look at it, we'll probably bother you with questions.
Got my number.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ty. Okay, item number 5 is welcome of guests and public comment. Thank you for being here tonight. We'll give you an opportunity to address the mayor, well, myself and council. With anything that's not on the agenda, we'll give you a 3-minute time limit. We can't take action on those things tonight because it's not on the agenda, and that would be a violation of open meetings laws. Also, if you'd like to comment on any item in the consent agenda, now would be the time. So we'll open it up now. And hearing nobody, we will move on. Item number 6, we have a couple presentations tonight of new employees. First one on the docket is Courtney Haley.
Good evening. I am excited to introduce the newest employee in the Park and Recreation Department. Her name is Courtney Haley. She is our Recreation Program Coordinator. I'll invite Courtney to the podium now to tell you a little about herself.
Awesome, thank you.
Hi. So like Robin said, my name's Courtney. I originally am from Grimes, so I grew up going to DCG. I I currently live in Altoona with my husband and our 3 animals. We are very outdoorsy. We love to hike, kayak, pretty much anything to do with anything outdoors. We love traveling. We just got back from Ireland and Alaska before that. So we have been traveling a lot lately. But we are big Iowa State fans. We have tickets to Iowa State football.
Way to suck up to the mayor.
So yeah, Iowa State fans. I did go to UNI. I went to UNI for Leisure, Youth and Human Services.
Yeah.
Yep, so graduated in this major. I love it. It's an awesome field to work in. I have previously worked as a naturalist for Polk County Conservation. And then after that, I worked for the YMCA, both Walnut Creek and Waukee, branches in the Des Moines metro area. And then I did a lot of youth programming for that, before and after school camps, day camps, just kind of everything with youth. Moving on from the Y, I went to the city of Des Moines. I worked in the city of Des Moines for the past 3.5 years, as a program coordinator for that, for them. I specialized in athletics, so I did a lot of our, youth leagues, adult leagues, sports contracts, kind of everything to do with athletics with Des Moines. This is my 2nd week here, and I'm super excited to be working for the city of Norwalk. And super excited to get to know all of you guys better.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to know about yourself?
Oh, welcome, Courtney.
Welcome.
Yeah,
Welcome aboard.
All right.
Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Thank you. And don't feel like you need to stay.
Although it's pretty exciting.
It can be, yeah. All right, Holly.
So this is Emily Donahue. So she has been working at the library part-time and now she's also with economic development part-time. So she's a full-time city employee, which is great. And Jean, she came to me, I don't know, a couple months ago and she's like, hey, I have this idea for you. I have somebody here who's amazing and all of her skills fit right in with your job description. And boy, did she ever. And just a cute story really quickly. So our tiny staff at economic development, we have the youth pretty high energy, and then Chris is very calm. He's a calm one in the office. So when Emily came in, I'm like, yes, we have a balance. And she's just like Chris, but personality wise, so it's pretty awesome. So I'll let her.
All right.
I'm Emily. It's nice to meet you guys. I've worked at the library part-time for 3 years as a circulation assistant. And I really loved working there. So I'm super excited for this opportunity to work full-time for the city.
All right. Where are you from?
I'm from Des Moines.
And did you go to college somewhere?
I went to University of Iowa.
Yes. Do you have any animals?
I don't have any,
Do you take lots of trips?
not really.
This is a great hire. I mean, University of Iowa.
So you do know that you actually have an office. You will shortly have an office to actually utilize the city.
Yeah.
And
They
she's
promise.
but she is really skilled at things that we need help with, so lots of IT work, she does all sorts of cool stuff, research, so it's gonna be great.
Good. Good deal.
So you were able to plunder her from the library, but willingly, is that the story or?
They're sharing.
Combined.
Yeah.
She gets the best of both worlds, working in.
Little building on Highway 28.
Well, you know what they say, if you find somebody good, steal them.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you and
Welcome.
welcome aboard
Yeah. Nice to meet you.
again. Welcome aboard full time.
Yeah.
There you go, that's it.
All right. Let's see, item number 7 is consent agenda. Tonight we have expenditures, some tax abatements. We have the October 3rd, 2024 minutes of the regular city council meeting. Got a renewal special class C retail alcohol license for Pyra Pizza. We have a renewal class B retail alcohol license for Get and Go. Have a special event application for the Run Norwalk 5K or 10K run walk on October 26th. A resolution to approve change order number 5 and semi-final pay estimate number 12 for the Sunset Drive Iowa Highway 28 and Beardsley Street intersection improvements project. We have a resolution approving pay estimate number 3 Device Construction for the Elm Avenue Sidewalk project. A resolution approving amended perpetual sanitary sewer easement and temporary easement for construction for the North River Sewer Interceptor project. We have a resolution to approve change order number 1, final partial pay estimate number 9, and certificate of completion to Progressive Structures for the Northeast Service Area Lift Station and Trunk Sewer Improvements project. We have a resolution approving pay estimate number 6 to Alliance Construction Group for the Golden Valley Drive Improvements project. We have a resolution of reapproving a 10-year phase-in of city property taxes for property owned by Larry and Linda Shirk. A resolution to approve benefits renewal for January 1st, 2025, and we have monthly reports. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Okay, motion by Brown, seconded by Meineke. Lindsay, would you call a roll?
Councilmember Livingston,
Yes.
Minneke,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, motion carries. Item 8 is old and new business for consideration, discussion, and possible action. Item A is a public hearing regarding a zoning amendment to rezone 9086 South Arilla Road from AR Agricultural Reserve to R160, single-family residential. So we'll open up the public hearing at 6:32 p.m. Luke, I'm going to let you explain this.
Yep, so this is a property out on Arilla Road, north of the cemetery that's out there and south of Stone Ridge. So it's a residential use that is currently zoned ag. The property owner requested to have a accessory structure permit approved, which we could not approve due to the setbacks of ag on that, basically limiting any kind of buildable area on the lot. So the two options were to get a variance or to just go ahead and rezone it. Because it's already a kind of residential lot in nature, we just felt it was best to do the rezoning now, and that will solve the issue going forward as it relates to any other accessory structures or even additions to the house, that we will do it with normal R1, RE1 district or R160 district setbacks.
Great. Lindsay, we received any oral or written comments on this?
We have not.
Any other public comments? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and close public hearing at 6:33 p.m. Item 8B is first reading of an ordinance amending the official zoning map of the city of Norwalk, Iowa by rezoning 9086 South Avila Road from AR Agricultural Reserve to R160 Single Family Residential. So we just had a public hearing on this item. Luke, you got anything to add?
Nope.
All right, any discussion, questions, or comments from council? Or any public comment?
Probably fits in better with the area around it anyway.
Yeah. Can I get a motion to approve first reading?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, so motion by Cool, seconded by Meineke. Any further discussion? Lindsay, would you call a roll?
Councilmember Minneke,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Cool,
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Item 8C is resolution approving the site plan of Family Pet Veterinary Center. So this is a site plan for the new construction and rebuilding of the vet clinic on Sunset. Luke.
Yep, so this is for the site that's at the corner of Sunset and Richard George, the current site of the veterinary clinic in town. If you recall, we recently did an infill PUD amendment for it. That was primarily to allow the building to be constructed while the current building is still used so that they can minimize downtime for the vet clinic's business operations. So this site, when you look at the site plan, is the final layout of how everything will work. So the main thing I just want to call out is that it will be being built in phases. They'll build the main building first, then they'll have to come back and demo the current building, then come back and do the parking lot and that last kind of addition that's identified as phase 2. So things will be happening in stages with that lot. But we've gone ahead and set everything up appropriately. Other than that, it meets all of our requirements for architectural and parking and all of those things. And we have applicants here if you've got questions of them as well.
All right.
I just had one question. When I was looking at the diagram of it,
Mhm.
there was a coffee shop inside of it. It was labeled coffee shop. I would imagine that's for customers of the clinic.
I apologize for this. Is that coffee shop?
I thought so. It's like a blueprint labeling of rooms.
Blueprint.
maybe referring to the cat cafe.
Oh, yep, I see it
I
here.
bet that's it.
Yep, it's in the layout. If you want to maybe talk more about what that space.
I'm just curious, is that just for customers?
You can, yep, appreciate that.
You guys just like to do that to me?
Get you on record.
Can you give us your name and address first?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Chris McVicker. I own Mark Chris Modern Homes and my address is 1129 South Wilder Place, West Des Moines.
Thank
you. And in reference to your question.
Be on page 12, Luke, if you want to zoom down to it. There is a spot in the upper right-hand corner identified as cat coffee shop.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a good detail catch.
I look at stuff sometimes.
Well, we appreciate that.
So we're calling it the Cat Cafe, but it's just for their clientele to, if they want to like sit in there and work on their laptop while they're waiting on their cat or dog. And she provides root canals on these animals too. So in case any of you need that for your pet, you should know.
All right.
I think I'd like the coffee shop more than the root canal myself, but.
What? It's gonna be, I'm so excited. I'm so proud. It's gonna be a lovely addition to Norwalk and I think people will just grin when they go by it. And
Mhm.
if they take their pet in there, get to see kind of the neat layout. And she's very serious. She does great root canals. I watched her perform one on a dog.
No, thanks for the explanation.
Anybody else?
Nope. Other questions?
Okay, appreciate it.
All right. Any public comment? Can I get a motion to approve the resolution as presented?
Second.
Motion by Brown, seconded by Cool. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Lindsay, would you call roll?
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Cool,
Yeah.
Livingston,
Yes.
Minneke.
All right, motion carried. Item number 8B. Oh, let me get to it. Is a resolution approving financial assistance request from Huseman Development for fire hydrant relocation project. So Holly, I'm going to let you explain this one.
Sure. And we do have the property owner and the project engineer here, so if they want to get really technical, they can explain it. But to sum it up, during some site work for the new True by Hilton Hotel, they discovered that the fire hydrant is serving the Fairway property was actually on their property on the outlot in between Fairway and the hotel. And it needs to be moved by about 30 feet to the south. And so our city engineer, our city staff, lots of different people were taking a look at this over several weeks and came to a conclusion, the best conclusion, which is what's been proposed here in terms of moving it. And that would include capping and abandoning the existing connection. So there is a cost of that about $18,000, and just kind of working with our 3 different groups of people involved in it. We just came to the understanding there's the infrastructure change that needs to happen in order to serve that area, kind of an unforeseen situation because it was undeveloped area at the time when Fairway went in there. So that's kind of the high level summary, but Ryan or Brad, if you guys want to talk any more detail on the movement of that.
This is more like an economic development grant then.
Correct. Yes, and I do have funding in my budget. This specific situation wasn't previously approved in the budget because we didn't know what would happen. But I do have a line item under capital improvements for things that come up such as this, because we know there's constantly changes with our development sites. So that was kind of a perfect use of this type of an incentive for this area north of Chatham.
Yes, I have a question. Maybe for one of the folks that build the hotel. My question would be, did this come up after the engineer reviewed your plans, or how did this come up?
Come on up, Brian. You know the drill.
Ryan Huesman, Huesman Development, 208 South Elm Street. Yes, we first were notified of this, from our contractor Sandstone Management, when they started the work on site. So,
Okay, so nobody reviewed all this before you got started or threw things up?
a few people reviewed it, but that's when it was caught.
Okay.
You can't leave that hanging.
Good evening, Brad Keel with Bishop Engineering. So we, obviously, you know, this has been in process for a long time. We worked with the Huesmans on a couple different sites here. We just landed on this site. We did our survey work on this site because they want to get going in April of 2023. Obviously, nothing was really done out there yet. Fairway wasn't even done yet. It's a process. So as we kind of moved through the process, we had our survey done, we're getting into design, and a lot of things were happening behind the scenes. Our company has been involved with a lot of the work in the Hughes development, so we're familiar with a lot of stuff that's going out there, but we weren't involved with Fairway. So we weren't aware of some of the things that were happening with Fairway, but even Chatham wasn't done when we were doing our survey. So, but we did the as-built information for Chatham. So we had that information, but we didn't have the information for Hughes or what was happening with Hughes. Hughes started out as a private drive, ended up being a public street. And so there was a lot of things evolving with that whole process. It was a timing and awareness thing, I think, for the most part. It just got missed. And through the review process, we submitted, I think, in August of 2023. It was approved by you guys in October of last year, 2023. I think the construction, I think the plans maybe happened in for Hughes, yeah, summer. So it was just something that just happened and got missed. So we are contributing to the project ourselves, some of it. So I'm just here to say that that's kind of where we're at. Appreciate your time and consideration on this matter.
Yeah, so we are actually, as it might have said in there, but may not, but it's actually the work is scheduled to be performed on Sunday when the business is, of course, not open. So we all felt that it was the safest to do it correctly and shut the line down and shut off water to the building and do it during that time.
So now we looked at all different kinds of options here. We tried to avoid that situation. Thankfully, Fairway is not open on Sundays, so that gave us that option, but obviously it was more expensive to do that from a construction standpoint. So that's kind of where we're at.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions?
Sounds like a good alternative. A good way to.
All right. Any public comment? Can I get a motion to approve the resolution as presented?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Baker, seconded by Cool. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Lindsay, would you call the roll?
Councilmember Brown,
Yes.
Cool,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Minneke,
Yes.
Baker.
Yes.
All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
Yep. Item 8E is a resolution approving the purchase of new copy machines and approving a service agreement with Access Systems. So in the past, the city has leased the printers and copiers for various departments. During Jim's review of the contract, he found some concerns that led to a redirection to purchase equipment versus leasing equipment. While this might be a larger expenditure, staff believes that it's going to be an overall budget savings in the long run over the life of the equipment. So Lindsay and Jim, do you have anything further to add?
I don't think so. I think that's a pretty good reflection. We were looking at city at least in the past, and like you had stated, and once we decided to purchase, we ended up getting two different companies kind of bidding on it once we decided to go the purchase route, and the recommendation is we feel the best bid on that. Yeah, purchase definitely, after doing the analysis of the cost of the money and everything like that, it's cost of money for a lease is pretty expensive.
Correct. Keith with Access Systems is here if you guys have any questions, but his purchase price came in significantly lower due to, I would guess, the Iowa State contract you have with them.
Thanks for asking.
They also,
I like Iowa State too.
they also hold the city's service or the school's service contract rather. So Tim
Okay.
is familiar with the machine, so we feel this is the best way to move forward.
Awesome. Great. Any questions, discussion, council?
The only comment I would make, Mayor, is that it's kind of a benchmark for the city. Because I remember when I was police chief, I needed to get one copier printed, and that was a dog. And I almost didn't get it. So I think it's a nice compliment to the community that we've grown enough. We can actually afford adequate printers.
Awesome. Yes, agreed. Any public comment?
No, just thanks for discussing it and.
Yeah.
And I'm a Norwalk citizen, so I'm glad to see you guys putting in us too.
All right.
All right.
Good.
Can I get a motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, so motion by Baker, seconded by Cool. Any further discussion? Lindsay, would you call a roll?
Councilmember Cool,
Yeah.
Livingston,
Yes.
Meineke,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Item 8F is a resolution approving purchase of furniture from JG's Old Furniture for the City Hall remodel. So we need furniture for the new spaces created by the remodel. Lindsay, what do you got?
Yeah, so we're bringing this forward tonight as a not to exceed price so we can get the furniture ordered. So it's here when the west side of City Hall is done. So the price tonight is a purchase price not to exceed 70,000. That is for both sides of City Hall. Includes desks, chairs, conference room table, and chairs, replacement of all 18 chairs in this room because I'm told by Gary Lamer that they're gonna start leaking oil. We don't want that to happen.
These chairs.
Correct, yeah. So we could pull those out if we want to. I mean, that's really just up to you guys.
We need to get the new
He
chairs.
says we need new chairs. So yeah, we are reusing what we can. The spaces though, obviously, we know they all shrunk to get more people in here. So
Yeah.
some of our existing furniture was too large.
I'm just concerned that the city attorney might have to flush in the office.
He's gonna reuse his furniture.
I'll keep an eye.
I keep you my old furniture.
Other questions, discussion, comments?
They're buying the old furniture?
They've already purchased some of it, so that'll actually come off this price.
Okay.
They'll give us one credit at the end because we have more furniture on the east side that we'll be selling to them. I'm trying my best. Have you been to the PD conference room? You need to go there tomorrow and sit in those chairs.
Yeah, those are nice.
All right.
They're gonna be.
I'll trust you.
Although they don't have arms.
They can have arms though.
They can have arms?
They took the arms off.
You took the arms off. Oh.
sit in with a gun belt very easily.
So,
So
yeah.
in the conference room
Makes
too,
sense.
with no arms, so we don't ruin them.
So maybe we need to take his, when we get new ones, maybe we need to take his arms off so that he can sit down in the chair
That's true.
with a gun
Yeah,
belt on.
we could
Yeah.
do that.
All right. Okay, any other comments?
Motion.
Second.
You motion by Baker, seconded by Brown. Any further discussion? Lindsay, would you call a roll?
Councilmember Livingston,
Yes.
Meineke,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Cool.
Yes, and I like arms on chairs.
All right, noted.
All right, motion carries. Just as a side comment, maybe you could offer to buy one and just take it home. That way you'll have it at home.
That would be.
Yeah, there you go.
Babe,
Don't complain if it leaks oil on your carpet.
And it starts leaking oil. All right. Item 8G, resolution approving exterior repainting of City Hall in connection with the City Hall remodel project. So as we've gone through the project, looks like the exterior should maybe get a fresh coat of paint for an overall refresh of the outside as well as a refresh of the inside. Lindsay, what you got?
That does sum it up pretty well. They're going to have to paint some of the exterior anyhow due to the windows being installed on the east side of the building. So they would refresh that with the current brown that's there, but I'm not exactly sure why, for whatever reason, that refresh paint only went to the large window that's currently existing, did not cover the new egress door that's being installed on the east side. So we would have to add that regardless. So I guess I kind of made a decision to just at least get a quote to see what it would cost to refresh the entire exterior, because I walked around, a lot of it is fading, dirty. We need a good wash anyhow. And it would be kind of the finalization of the facelift of City Hall.
These guys are getting windows too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. You never had one.
As a side question, is the roof done?
The roof is done.
Are all the lights back? The
Not
outside?
that I know of, no.
When are they putting those back up?
Holly, do you know anything about that?
I'm sorry.
The lights.
I was listening.
Do you remember when you installed the lights on the, or had them installed on that? The
Oh, yes. So I kind of turned that over to Gary.
Gary, okay.
And I assume he's in communication with reinstalling. If
Okay.
not, I'm happy to get back.
I will check on that.
Let's just check.
Yep.
Okay,
Yes, good. Reminder.
anyway, questions or comments on the repainting, exterior repainting? Or public comment? Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second. Motion by Cool, seconded by Meineke. Any further discussion? Lindsay, would you call roll?
Councilmember Meineke,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Cool,
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Item 8H, it's first reading of an ordinance amending chapter 53, open burning regulations with the city, within the city limits of the city of Norwalk, Iowa by amending sections 53.02 and 53.04. So council's asked staff to review open burning ordinance. There are a few changes that are being proposed that include allowing prescribed burns on property greater than 5 acres, as long as you get a permit for the burn. But Chief, I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, thank you. That pretty much sums it up. Again, we are looking to amend chapter 53 of the open burning, to include prescribed burning. We did some reorganization of the ordinance just in general to kind of clean it up a little bit. If you see some quick changes at the top as definitions and things of that nature. The prescribed burning would be limited to either public property, which would give Parks and Recreation the ability to do some prescribed burns around ponds and that sort of thing. And then for private, it would be anyone that has 5 contiguous acres. Also to be noted that this would exclude anyone that has open burning allowed in their annexation agreements. With the burning, this would be done through a permitting process. It would come through the fire department. With that, we would do a site plan review. We would do some education with the individuals conducting the burn to ensure that it's being done in a safe manner, primarily to mitigate the smoke. When we talk about open burning within the city limits, we are concerned about fire, but more so than that, it does create a nuisance within the community with the smoke going into neighbors' homes, into developments, communities, that sort of thing. So the major concern here for us, the fire department, is kind of controlling that smoke as well. So I've included a copy of the proposed permit in your packet as well. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
So will this change the status of any of the properties that currently are allowed to burn in the open?
No, the ones that are open burning now, if they're included in their annexation agreements, they would still be allowed to do that. And a city attorney did look at this pretty heavily, and he believes that they would still conduct those burns without the permitting process because they're included in their annexation agreements.
Thank you.
Anything else?
It would be interesting to know if you get any calls for health-related issues,
Sure.
EMS,
Yeah, I think.
and related to the smoke.
Yeah, I mean, we did some really quick data today. It looks like last year we responded to about 30 calls for smoke investigations. Of those, 9 were illegal burns. But again, we do get calls, and it's not just always people are upset because smoke coming into their homes, but out of concern as well. Like, hey, I stepped outside and I smell smoke. You know, of our total call volume, 30 calls, about 2% is what we responded to last year for smell of smoke. So, but none that I'm aware of that were health-related concerns. I think there is a public education piece to this, as we do do those, as we issue permits and those sort of things, you know, we'd also want the people doing the burns to make sure they're doing it on a day when everybody's windows aren't open and the wind directions are correct. And we're obviously not in a burn ban or red flag warning. So we would take some special consideration to that in the permit process. If you read through the process or the permitting, you would see that we would, you know, give the approval, but there would be a go and no go the day of, dependent on weather. So even though they've gotten the permit, it's approved, they still have to get that final authorization the morning of. We'd be notifying dispatch and all of those type of things, but if we as a fire department felt like weather conditions were not conducive for a burn, then we would call it off for the day. We'd have the authority to call it off for the day.
One thing I want to comment on is Chief did a good job of thinking through the amount of time that staff would put into doing these reviews, any site visit, and the fee that's being charged means that the people that are asking for these special permits are paying for staff time. So that's just appreciate you thinking through that.
Yeah, good.
Okay. Any other questions?
Any other questions?
I like having that prescribed burn definition.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I guess, can I say one other thing? I do want to make sure that we're also clear in a public forum. Prescribed burns are also for rubbish that is on the parcel on which the fire is going to be located. So what this is not going to be allowable for is for people to collectively take all of their items to a burn pile and burn. So that is specifically called out in the ordinance that it does have to be harvested from the parcel in which the burn is going to be completed.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Art, you got anything you want to say about that? Okay.
Put him on the spot.
What are the sections 5302 and 5304?
Those are about open burning.
I know, but what's like this, what's the reading on them or printing?
We could print you a copy.
Hmm?
We could print you a copy.
Okay.
All right. All right. Any other public comment? Art's the only, well, you guys are here. Can I get a motion to approve first reading?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Cool, seconded by Atassa. I'll let Lindsay decide. Lindsay, would you call roll?
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Cool,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Minneke.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Item 8I is a second reading of an ordinance amending the official zoning ordinance of the city of Norwalk by creating the M2 Technology Industrial District. So the new M2 district is being set up for tech developments like a large data center. We're doing this now to position ourselves for future development. Last time we had some questions about the water tower, so I'll let Luke and Jim talk about that and anything else, any other changes that were made.
Sure. So this has evolved a little bit since we sent out the agenda. We did update the private water tower language under item 3, subsection E of the new M2 district. We essentially wrote a sentence that said that it's not permitted until the city council determines that sufficient capacity and quantity exists in the public system, and that it won't adversely impact public supply. We did have some feedback from some of the groups that have looked at this and kind of helped us thread the needle on this M2 district. And they gave us some feedback related to that, which unfortunately we didn't really get wrapped up until today, so we couldn't update your ordinance on that. But so one of the things that we kind of focused on was that we already have some language in our zoning ordinance in general that says that you can't do things in the city if it's going to have adverse impacts on other systems, whether that be roads, water, sewer, or any of that stuff. So what we kind of settled on in working with our groups was referencing back to that section rather than having this language here. There were some concerns that this might add a second layer of review that might not be intended the way it was worded now. So Luke, I don't know if you want to pull up that language I sent you today. I hastily wrote something that our attorney has not had a chance to review yet either. So he can give you a real-time analysis of how I wrote things. But essentially, I just kind of struck a lot of the last of that and just said, you know, we're gonna ensure sufficient capacity and quantity in the public system as required under our site plan design.
I'd take out the word by.
Yes.
Yes, you're right. The attorney didn't even have to catch it.
I'm
That's-
teasing, kinda. I was just editing.
So that's kind of what we settled on. I think Jim and I both feel comfortable that it achieves the city's ability to review and approve or deny a water tower based on our ability to serve that water tower. You know, the reality, I think, of a lot of this is going to be any of that capacity and quantity stuff is going to be discussed and determined way ahead of zoning and site plans, and it's probably going to come forward to you guys in the form of development agreements and other things to ensure that stuff, because I think in reality, no one's going to come forward and need to have a water tower without having secured that stuff way before them making any of those investments in our community. So
now we get to see a legal opinion in action.
yes, other than getting rid of by.
If we could get rid of by under and replace it with pursuant to, I'd be okay with it.
Perfect.
As required pursuant to the site plan design standards in chapter 175.
Yes.
I don't think you need as required pursuant to. I think you can have
Pursuant.
pursuant to. So, you know, I'm the one that started this. I don't like the language. Here's my current issue. One is I'm a little troubled that we are making a statutory language based on what I'm a little troubled by the input that we're getting and that we are bending, I guess, to the demands of some of that input. I'm not sure. I think that that's really the direction that I want to go. It's not that I think it's legally inappropriate. I just don't feel like it's really appropriate the way that that's come about. My other issue is our code, the state code is replete with here's this code section, but now you have to look at this other code section and then go look at this other code section and look at one more code section so you can understand what the rule is. That makes me crazy because you can't figure out what the rule is. We've had that issue with some of our other rules. And so I don't like putting in one rule that you have to refer to another rule. So I'm not, I'm not quite on board with this at this point.
Did you prefer the language that we initially had in there?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think from Jim and I's perspective, we can go with whatever. I think from my seat as development director and knowing how we review things and everything, I don't think that there's a scenario that we have to worry about a water tower, a private water tower being proposed and getting built without our ability to serve it.
And I think you're probably right. But right, the whole, for me, at least part of the purpose of rules is for those situations that we don't anticipate. And we have been faced with situations where we didn't anticipate this coming up and we have been bitten because it was not something we ever envisioned would be an issue. So I don't know whether it's ever going to actually come to an issue, but I would rather be as all-encompassing as we can. Right? If it really doesn't make a difference, then why are they so troubled by the language? Right. And if that's the part of why I don't like how this whole thing has come about. If it really doesn't make a difference, why does it bother them that we say it the way that it was written yesterday?
Some of the input that I've received on it and I can understand their reasoning, is that if a process is already addressed elsewhere in the code, which this 175I does kind of address anytime that there is a site plan or proposed development that it can't have adverse impact on utilities and everything else. If we didn't somehow tie those two things together, the question was, well, are we really creating a brand new process where they would have to comply with 175I and there's some other special other approval process for the on-site tower and water storage? So what they felt is if we referred to 175I, then it kind of clarified that no, we weren't creating a separate process, that we were just going to have one process.
What would happen if we just placed this in 175? Made it a paragraph in the.
Well, I think it is in 175.
Okay. So it wouldn't be covered by 175?
Yes.
How long is 175? I guess part of my question is, is 175 too long to restate here? And or can't we add a note that says this is not intended to add another step in the process, but to make sure everybody understands what our process is?
Well, I think that was kind of the intent of just referencing 175I, is that we could reference that is our process.
But this will be part of the 175I, right? It's already 175I. For referencing something that's.
So 175I spells out our site plan, what do they call it? Site plan requirements. So it runs through all the things that you have to show on your site plan and all the things that we would do from a design criteria and review criteria and all of that. One of the things that, and we could reference more specifically this exact section, be 175I.05.4, but it says essentially that development shall be designed with adequate water main, sewer, storm sewer, flood controls, and all of these things, and be designed with good engineering practices to protect health and welfare of the community and to not overload any existing public utilities. So I think Jim and I both feel really comfortable that if a water tower was proposed and we didn't have the services and they were saying we had to allow it, we would say, no, we don't, and recommend to council to deny it and reference that section.
Part of this is their due diligence. They are not about to build a water tower if there's no water to fill it. They aren't gonna bring any kind of manufacturing process if they don't have electricity to service it. I think this is just an exercise of, I don't know. It's self-governing, I guess is my point. They're not about to bring it if we don't have the utilities for it. Whether it's water or electricity, that's all part of the due diligence that they are doing, the engineers are doing, and we do.
But the concern with that is with these really large prospects and especially dealing with utilities or any of the infrastructure, nothing's perspective. So it's even mid-am can't tell these data centers that are out there, we'll guarantee you X amount that you need. They can't tell them that until they're at a certain point in the process. So everything that they're able to get some form of, even if it's just a soft language guarantee that we'll do our best to get them whatever it is they need that we have the power to do, because they're dumping billions of dollars into these projects. So that's really the point of it is any kind of process or guarantee that they can get on the front end before they get to a certain point. Because yeah, these utilities and water, I mean, those things are so important to their project. It can't happen without it. But that's the conundrum, is the chicken and the egg thing.
Right, and my goal, like I said last time, is not to prevent them from coming here. My goal is to make sure that, and I'm not even talking about these groups, but I'm talking about perhaps other groups that now this says, I don't know who can put up a water tower. I don't know what this opens up to other developers to be able to say, yeah, but you have this code section that says if I need water, I can put up a water tower, and I'm not taking water away from anybody, so I should be able to put up a water tower. I'm not so concerned about this intended use. I'm concerned about the unintended use that comes in and in fact meets all the criteria that we then really cannot say no to, because in fact, they do meet all the criteria.
I think, with this, if we remember the history, this is an M2 district, so really what we're talking about is principal permitted uses, and it has data centers, electrical substations. So it's limited there. And really what's unique about this is normally you would see a water tower or something like this as a special use permit. It'd be special uses versus a permitted accessory use. It was bumped into, for this ordinance, into the permitted accessory uses because staff kind of felt that, okay, it's going to be a large area. Very unique because you're talking, data centers, you're talking big uses. And we really didn't want to run that. A special use requires going in front of the Board of Adjustment and getting a third party, the Board of Adjustment, which is an independent board, to approve a water tower. And so the thought was that we would rather have it in front of the council to approve it, as if we're dealing with, development that maybe we've been working on for 3 or 4 or 5 years to get into town. We wouldn't want suddenly an isolated water tower request sent to an independent board, suddenly submarine in a deal like that. So
Doesn't.
yeah, so we felt that even though most special uses go before the Board of Adjustment, we felt that this use is better off in a permitted accessory use because the informed decision makers in this case would be the city council and planning and zoning board. It wouldn't be the Board of Adjustment. So that's why it was moved up to the permitted accessory uses. With it being in a permitted accessory use, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're absolutely required. For instance, if somebody wants another accessory use and here's a concrete batch plant. Certainly it's going to get further scrutiny if they want to put a concrete batch plant in there. Other than just say, oh, by matter of right, we have a right to throw it in here wherever we want. It's, any use, even though it's properly zoned for that use, you look at the other chapters, such as the one that Luke Paris was just talking about, to finally evaluate whether, even though it's a legal use within that zoning district, whether it's an appropriate use for that piece of land.
I think any controls we can have. And you've already had an example, it's a small example, but a lack of communication or coordination. And now that's caused some issues further on down the road. So it's possible, while people may not intend to do things, happen unless you've got one point that you bring all those things to. So we force coordination, force discussion.
And, I feel that like Luke said, the code section that addresses site plans and addresses our controls, because that's kind of the area where you decide, okay, even though it's properly zoned, that's just the very first litmus test for any type of development, is the council needs to answer the question or be told the answer to the question of, is this is this the right zoning district? Well, once we say, yes, it's the right zoning district, that's when you start diving deeper into it on whether this site plan or this building or what they're planning on doing is appropriate for this piece of land that they're proposing to put. Like I say, zoning is the first litmus test. It's not the ultimate final acceptance. So when we listed out the permitted accessory uses, there's a lot of them on there. And it is unique to have something on there because like we have accessory shelters for watchman, caretaker, or gate guard, or on-site energy generation. I mean, we could put a qualification at the end of every one of these saying on-site energy generation is accepted as long as the council determines that it's appropriate in the site plan. Well, that's what the other code section says. So, and I don't mind adding additional wording here because we felt that the private water towers, like water storage, were kind of apparently unique with the permitted accessory uses. But I think by referencing 177, somebody doesn't read this and say, wow, they have this requirement on E. We don't have it on C, they don't have it on D, they don't have it on B. So apparently E must have some special requirement that the others don't, when really it doesn't. I mean, it all goes through the, you know, the site plan review. So I guess, you know, that's why the reference was made, just to make sure we're not confusing somebody in the future when none of us are here saying, well, is this some special requirement that or special procedure that's not well explained? So I guess now you know all my rambling thoughts on this one.
I thought I was watching an interview from last night.
Yeah, there you go.
But anyway, but I share a lot of Jackie's concerns.
Mhm.
Really do. She got some really good points there.
Mhm.
Those things have happened in the past. And so we need to be thought to how we do these.
And we will follow the rules and regulations, so the law.
Right, well, we will operate in accordance with the law.
That, and as Brian says, some of it's self-regulated too. I mean, you're not gonna do anything, you're gonna be exposed to having some thing that you don't think is gonna work out very well.
So if
Jim had kind of a moment of brilliance last time when he said that you can only build a water tower if you have water. That was a really supremely intelligent moment last time, Jim.
kind of insightful.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
he's got a
like,
good point, because sewer, it's unlimited, right? You just keep building sewer plants. There's only so much
yeah,
water to go around.
You can
So,
build plenty of sewer.
There's it's a limiting factor. I'd like to know what that number is.
So with all that said, I mean, what do we want to do with this? Do we want to take out the last amendment in reference to the other code and leave it in second draft? I mean, it's council's ordinance.
We got 3 times we've got to pass this, right?
Yep.
This is the second.
This is the second.
So it made it through the first,
Yes.
just like that.
It made it through the first one, not like this. The original one just said private water towers and on-site water storage, period, and that's where it ended. But after council discussion, we were directed by council to put in additional wording, kind of saying, well, you know, just because you can build it doesn't mean you can't fill it with water. So we tried to do that. But when we put that in, that's when we had the discussion with people other than the council saying, well, we want to make sure we're not creating a second process.
I like subject to city review. I mean, as long as you and Luke are comfortable, I would defer judgment.
Yeah, I probably would too. I mean, we're waiting for his opinion.
Yeah, why not? Why stop now, right?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Well, yeah.
As written, as you amended it.
Updated with the update.
As
Yeah.
amended.
Okay.
Right.
As amended.
which, this one,
That was in the packet,
yep, the new one
The new one.
the new one.
that Luke kind of miswrote.
Pursuant to
Yeah.
whatever.
Pursuant to
Oh, he
site
didn't have-
plans, site
didn't
plan
have a
design
window.
standards in chapter 175I.
Good point.
Yes.
Yes. Are we good?
Yes.
Are we good now?
Okay, so the motion is, by cool, is to add that language. Was there a second? Okay, got Brown as a second. Any further discussion? All right, Lindsay, would you call the roll?
Councilmember Brown,
Yes.
Cool,
Yes.
Livingston,
No.
Minneke,
Yes.
Baker.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. Item 9, future agenda items. So the purpose for this is for council to give direction to staff by way of motion to have items placed on future agendas. It's not for discussion of the merits of the subject matter. It's just to get it on the agenda so that we can then discuss the merits of the subject matter. So any future agenda items tonight?
Yeah, I don't know how this fits, Mayor, but I was thinking about the report we just got from Ty, and surprisingly, I did read through the whole thing. And then, just some of the comments about growth and some of the comments about small town feel.
Mhm.
And again, I don't know where the appropriate place is for this, but, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of interested in not being Waukee and not being Ankeny and not being Altoona. An example right now is we have no big box stores. Me personally, I'm perfectly happy to drive somewhere and go to those. I'm just speaking for myself. So, I don't know how to talk about that. I don't know how to bring it up, but it's like, how do we grow in the right way so that more residents are sort of like excited by the type of growth we're seeing and by the things that are showing up and keeping a small town feel.
Yeah, I think that's great discussion for our strategic planning sessions.
Great.
Yeah, I think that's great discussion.
And we could probably, I looked over at Luke and I knew he'd be grinning when I looked over at him because those are kind of some land use zoning type regulations. Maybe we can give you a little insight even before strategic planning to help.
As you know, I know very little.
Yep, we'll do that.
So.
Yep. Anything else? All right. Item 10, council inquiries, and staff updates. Luke.
Yes, I apologize, but I have several. First of all, I want to give a kudos to our public safety, Chief Porter, Chief Staples. So we've got a chief of police that's willing to help things like Music Fest organize a party. It's usually not something a police chief is doing. We have a fire chief that's willing to help people out, do open burning. I know some of those things are outside of their comfort zone, but it's nice to see both of you adapt to those situations. That's pretty cool. A few things. I attended at Lakewood Village Association board meeting to talk to them about our new entry sign as well as the new walls and fences that are going up along Highway 28. It's a good discussion item with them. Next, I will be attending the Lake Rec District board meeting to give them the same update. They're one of our largest homeowners association. So especially with those two things impacting them, we thought we'd take the time to give them a firsthand update. The Lakewood Village Association was very welcoming. It's good to see that relationship with the city going well. Next thing, I attended the Warren County Conservation meeting, talking to them about an agreement somewhat similar to the annexation agreements we've done in the past. Trying to work with them so that they can continue, ensure there's hunting out of the Blue Flag Marsh after the annexation. Speaking of annexation, the mayor and I will be attending the Martinsdale St. Mary School Board meeting. The mayor will be taking on the presentation primarily there, just updating them on what our progress is. I would say roughly half of the annexation area falls within the Martinsdale St. Mary School District.
And Luke's there to make sure that he corrects anything that I mess up.
I don't know. I think you could do this whole thing with your eyes closed as many times you've done the presentation. Probably should have started with this instead of ending with it. The legislative concerns, the metro managers got together. We have periodic luncheons together. So all the metro managers getting together, just talking about current event type things. And I was a little bit concerned that maybe I was overreacting or getting too nervous ahead of this legislative season. Unfortunately, I was met with a room full of other managers that are having some of the exact same concerns. What I will say is there are some good ideas formulating. One of the best that I've heard is League of Cities, the Iowa City Managers Association are coming together trying to find a way to help citizens connect the dots with lowered property taxes with a loss of services. And because we realize that we, as I hate to say it, but you all are in the same group, legislators don't really want to hear from us. They're sick of hearing from us. So we really need it to be those businesses, those property taxpayers that are talking to the state legislators, explain to them when they become unhappy that, for example, the library is open less, as we saw with some of the hours of operation in there. Just that as an example. Or unhappy because we can't afford a new aquatic center, something like that. So just trying to connect those dots, make connections with people. So it's probably the best effort we can make at this point.
Or like we won't be able to fix sidewalks in the way we'll just have to defer all of this.
Or streets.
Yeah.
And that means that engineers won't be engineering those changes to sidewalks.
Mhm.
So, and the concrete people won't be pouring concrete for it. So there is a trickle effect that's pretty huge. Yeah.
That's all I have there.
Okay, Jackie.
I don't have anything. Thank you.
All right, Jason.
Yeah, I just also want to thank, Holly and Lindsay and Luke and Mayor for all the time and attention they're giving North Shore Development. I think it's going above and beyond the call of duty, and, I'm not saying that property might not be worth it, but I just want to say how thankful I am for all the time that you are all offering this. So thank you.
Thank you for saying so. Yeah, Lindsay,
Nothing tonight.
Robin?
November 22nd at 4 p.m. is the grand opening of the City State Bank Norwalk Fieldhouse. Invites will go out soon.
4 p.m., November 22nd, 4 p.m. All right. Sounds good. Right.
You're
Gene.
speaking at it, by the way.
Huh?
You're speaking at that, by the way.
I am?
Yes.
Holly has your speech written. That's great. I've seen it. Yeah,
Okay,
it's really good.
awesome. Gene.
Apologies for being a little late. I ran over from the library. We were wrapping up our fall festival. We had almost 700 residents attend and it was a really good time. So
Cool.
you missed out. You'll have to catch it next year. And I would also like to express appreciation to Lindsay, Jean Kelly, and Holly for working with me to get Emily Donahue a full-time position. She is a rock star and I'm excited we get to share her. So thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Holly.
Jason's comment about the survey, it is a really interesting mix because we received an equal amount of comments about people wanting to keep this small town feel with people wanting big box stores. And you can't have both.
No.
So finding that balance and yeah, is really interesting. And yeah, if there is such a thing, but, so our new chief of mission at the Kosovo consulate, but like an idiot, as I do as often, but apparently we've met him, Jackie and I, Mayor and Luke and everybody who went to, DC in May. He was the diplomat at the embassy when we went to meet them at the Kosovo embassy in DC. I did not know that, so I sent him this nice email, nice to meet you, or we can't wait to meet you. He's like, oh, yes, we had a nice meeting in DC. I'm like, every time. Anyway, we have a meeting with him at the consulate on Tuesday, Mayor and Jackie. You guys should have received your emails inviting you to that. So we will meet him again and start to plan our projects moving forward. We are still in the running for the 300,000 square foot light industrial prospect that would go on the 19 acres still available in the Dunn Industrial Park. We're getting dirty again with another state. This happens every time with these larger projects. There comes down to one other site, and sometimes it's Nebraska. But we fought dirty with Michael Foods and we won. But if I could find out who it is, then I'm gonna find out what we need to do to get them. But we're supposed to know by early November, and that would fill out that 40-acre development, which is pretty cool because that means the Dunn Industrial Development Group reached capacity in less than 3 years out their site for 40 acres. So that's pretty good. We had a meeting with the Project West Development Group today as well, a bunch of us in here. So that's for that 300-acre development that is underway. So they still have a couple of months left on their due diligence, but things are moving really, really forward very well. We're meeting with them in person next week. They're coming here with some of their engineering and legal teams. So we'll start talking about the development agreements and infrastructure things, their annexation. So they're a huge part of our Southwest Development Corridor and our annexation project that a bunch of people in here are working on. And then last week we had the Hilton, the True by Hilton, groundbreaking last week. It was great. You guys did a great job. Super exciting that you finally got there. It's been a long time coming, but you guys have stuck to it, Houston's, and you are awesome to work with, and we're super proud of you. and can't wait to see that go vertical. So thank you for those who came.
Holly, you know, as Chief Cool is fond of saying related to beating Nebraska, is that really the only thing we should lose to Nebraska in is women's volleyball. So I'm really glad. I mean,
Yeah.
he taught me that. So
We haven't lost
it's-
the project to him yet, but it.
yeah.
There might be a couple other sports.
Okay, Holly, y'all done?
What?
Are you all done?
Oh, I'm done, yes. Sorry.
Okay, good. Chief,
I don't have anything. Thank you.
okay. Chief,
Last week was Fire Prevention Week. We started Sunday with a community breakfast that was hosted by Michael Foods. We served over 700 meals and we raised $3,000. So I thought that was really great. Michael Foods donated all the food and it was food that was all produced by them. So we had scrambled eggs and French toast and sausage. So it was a really nice event that I felt fortunate to kind of be on the receiving end of that from Michael Foods. So I hope to continue the partnership with them. We did school visits. I read at the library, which was super fun. And then we had our fire prevention open house on Wednesday, which was massive. We had over 500 people at that. We landed a helicopter on the front apron. The kids got to see that. Parks and Recreation, thank you. You guys had a table, library had a table, police had a presence there. Teamwork makes the dream work. And I think that it's really great to have these events and have other city departments kind of rallying with us to make it all work. So that was really exciting. I also want to say thank you to Councilmember Livingston. She came in yesterday. We did a class for the firefighters. It was kind of how to conduct yourselves in the courtroom. We don't have to be on the stand very often, but she had offered her support to come in and kind of give us some tips and tricks. And so we're really fortunate to have her to speak to us. Thank you, Jackie. So
good.
all right. Carrie,
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
all right, Luke.
I think you all received an invite from the Polk County Housing Trust Fund. They are doing a bus tour of northern Warren County communities, looking at efforts to expand workforce and affordable housing in the metro area. It's kind of interesting the Polk County Housing Trust Fund's doing that because they're Polk County, but they're kind of the Des Moines metro leader in housing issues. So they often collaborate with us on things, even though we're down in Warren County. So I plan on going to that, but if you want to attend, it's kind of a half-day bus tour. Next Friday, I believe.
Yeah, it's on the 25th.
What's that?
It's on the 25th.
25th, yep. Leaves from Southridge Mall, I think at 9 a.m. So if you're interested in that, it's free. Also, Lindsay, Jim, and I are hard at work on annexation stuff. So just look for annexation things to come to council in December, and that'll put us on track for a March approval through the state.
Thank you. Ed,
Bought some semis at Metro Waste. They'll come in really handy. Got a good deal on them, a few of them.
okay.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Got back home from the eastern coast. Had a funny cruise. Whale, seal, all kinds of things. Nice to be back. And, there's a political event. I sent you an email, but I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're able to attend that, you're certainly invited. In fact, any members of the council are invited.
Bill meets, Speaker Johnson is going to be here.
Yeah, yep, and it's kind of a rally for a congressman.
Yeah.
In Indianola. So if any of you are interested, let me know. I'll get the information to you. And other than that, Mayor, that's all I got.
All right, George,
Nothing.
Brian,
Nothing.
Jim.
I guess I'd say, Lindsay and I have been working on that, community wall or whatever along the highway. Lindsay's been kind of spearheading that. Oh, wait, my house is next to Lindsay's. The amount of things she's spearheading, you should be impressed with, because she knows a lot of stuff. But that being said, with the wall, we've met with the citizens. We had a good, open meeting showing the plans and everything's going well. We had good reception. Eventually you're gonna have to decide between a 6-foot fence and an 8-foot fence. We're hoping, we have a glimmer of hope that DOT is just gonna say, go ahead and put it in the right of way. We didn't think that that was a possibility, but after some discussions this week, if that happens, that makes
Wow.
our work a lot easier.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you can put it 4 inches this side of the right of way versus 4 inches onto the private property.
Yep.
It's a whole
Mhm.
different world. So, we're crossing our fingers on that we can get that done. We're waiting for return email, but in the meantime, plans are there. Wall looks really cool. And once we get it placed and hopefully built, sometime next year that we will, everyone will like it. It'll be a good addition.
And whenever I mention the fact that it's gonna happen, people are elated.
Yes.
So they will feel like we've done something really important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Hope it's going well, though.
Hey, you hear a lot of support these days about building a wall.
Yeah.
They usually come back with a reply right after the housing starts on north of the lake, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's going well. That's all I've got.
Okay,
Good deal.
well, you mentioned it, so I'll tack on to it, that I think city clerk is the most important position in a city. And we got one of the best, so thanks for being here. Yeah.
Happy to be here.
I am going to be out in Boise on November the 7th, welcoming new granddaughter.
All
So
right.
Jackie will be taking the meeting at that point in time. Also, last but not least, November 5th, go vote. If you can't vote on the 5th, go down. Voting is, you can vote in your county courthouse right now at the auditor's office in person, or get an absentee ballot, but go out and vote. This is an important election, so.
That's just like Chicago.
County.
Yeah.
All right. That said, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second?
Okay. Motion by Cool, seconded by Baker. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same. We are adjourned.